Plugin of the week is the Waves IM Pusher, or Infected Mushroom. Infected Mushroom is a duo group from Israel, and they do a lot of electronica, psychedelic kind of dance music, and they work together with Waves on a plugin that is a simplified version or a simplified way of making your music really hyped and giving you a lot of options in terms of vibe and stuff. So what you have in this is a plugin that gives you a lot of different tools, although you don't know exactly what it's doing under the hood. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over this, and let's start by doing an overview of the plugin just so you can get an idea of which way to go. And what I'll do is I'll kind of make this so it zooms in correctly here instead of off to the side. What we have is an input gain control. So that's pretty straightforward. So that will determine how much it drives the track. So you can kind of adjust that along with the output down at the bottom here to affect some of the other things that are going on. You have a high frequency boost. You have the magic mushroom effect, which is like an exciter. There are a couple of controls that work in conjunction with that. One is a focus control, so that will kind of shift a tonal center for the focus frequency. Then you also have a dynamic punch, so this will shift some of the dynamics into a particular frequency range, a little more subtle sometimes. And then a stereo imager, which works in conjunction with this. So as if I have this in, then this effect will work, but if I take it out, then you notice that that disappears. So that's an important thing to remember. So we'll go through that magic effect. Body, which is like a low mid-range boost. So this will bring in some body energy, a little bit more of the RMS low mid type of thing. Then you have a low frequency boost. So the low frequency boost is kind of an interesting thing because what it works on is a series of musical notes, which kind of works really well if you have tuned drums or kick drums, but it also has like a very musical value in terms of the way that you approach it. So as you, kind of click through the settings here, you can find your way through whatever frequency that you want. And of course, you can option click to put yourself back to where you were. Down here on the right, you have a push. Now, what this is like, this is a limiter that's built in. So as you bring up the gain, what you're getting is like peak limiting. And there are two basic modes here. There's a clip mode for cutting down transients, and there's a limit mode, which also cuts down transients, but they also have a unique sound. This is also a way of kind of maximizing your track. So you have a maximizer, you have some aural exciter, sort of multi-band style, stereo imaging, high frequency boost, body boost, and low boost, and you got some different tonal characters that you can kind of place with this, and so you have a lot to work with. So let's start by putting together here. I have a very rough track put together here, but I'm going to start with some drums. So we'll talk about how we could push this, and maybe we'll use this a little later to kind of maximize some things. So if I focus here on this, and I have a drum track. So you could hear that top end effect. I don't think this is actually. Yep. Okay. And let's add a little low end energy into here. All right, so as we go down through here, I'm going to sit on that low end for that, and maybe I want to bring in something a little bit more for the bass. And what I'm going to do is I bring in a little bit of magic in here. And here, this is where it's kind of cool, where I can kind of work with this a little bit to kind of shift the tonal character here. So I'm going to shift that up. It's like a subtle thing that, and when you're listening to it, sometimes it'll be more exaggerated. Hear how that kind of pushes up on the top end of like the snare and the tambourine and stuff like that claps. It shifts it just a little bit lower. And now I could shift the area where the dynamic punch occurs. And I can widen the stereo imaging. So I'll back off at least 3 dB again to kind of make it a little bit fair. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is gonna bring this over for guitar, and so what I'll do here is let's see if we can find like a good magic area. And then I'll just drive this up a little bit higher. I'll kind of leave this a little mono, but I'll give it a little air on top. And then I'll probably do a requisite gain drop here. So this is just a raw track with just you know, just levels and panning, not even, you know, automation or anything balancing it out. All right, so here what I have are some this is where I can bring in some stereo imaging. So here you really hear the tone in those horns. Keep that a little bit lower. Bring in a little bit of body there. All right, and then so you can see how like you can really kind of vibe something up and hype something up pretty quick. Imagine like in a more complete mix where you have the basic vibe of your mix here. It also was great because you can work on individual tracks or loops or any kind of elements in between. Let's work a little bit on the mix here with by putting a little bit of a push here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my output gain down here just so we don't kind of blow things up a little bit, but let's just kind of drive this. I'm going to go a little bit extreme with it here. So there's 2 modes, clip and limit. Obviously has a lot more edge to it. I'm just pulling down the output here for the sake of the video and kind of balancing it out. little bit of air on here. I could also kind of work this as far as pushing a little bit more low end. Might not be necessary, might be overkill. And if I want to push a little magic into this, I can kind of drive a little bit of character in there. So you can see how quick and easy it is to kind of dial in some character on something. So you can bring like an edginess and a forward presence here with the exciter. Also, there's like kind of a smoothness to the character of that, which is really great. You get this nice air up on the top with the high end. You could get that, you know, that low end sub energy to kind of really kick here with that. Bring in some body or some fullness into the tone, especially good for like guitars and a lot of keyboards like Rhodes and things like that. Really great on. And then you have the built-in limiter, so it gives you a lot of tools. You don't have to use all of them, but you could pick out different ones that are appropriate to the mix bus, to stems, to particular instruments, like maybe with a kick drum. You want to maybe use this to focus in the attack of the kick and then push the low end energy here. And maybe that's all that you end up doing with it. Or maybe you put in a little bit of limiting and clipping to give it, you know, a bit more edge and character, you know, like we did here with the mix. So there's a lot of control here with this, with a very simple interface and layout. And it's a really cool one. This is a new plugin just released by Waze, working with the duo from Infected Mushroom. This is the Infected Mushroom Pusher, or I Am Pusher, when you look in your plugin list. And this is the plugin of the week.